want to note for the record, we have a table here, St. Louis County does, with the chairman and everything, so they're in the back. There's all my good friends from St. Louis County. So we're helping you out here. It's great to be back in St. Charles. I've got so many friends in the room. It's great to be here. It's a little dim up here, though. You don't really think of romance and Lincoln Days in the same sentence. And, you know, as the crow flies, I'm probably only about 10 or 12 miles south of here, Eureka. You know, almost Six Flags, but you really can't get there from here. You got to go around. It is great to be here. The St. Charles contingent, they're great representatives for all of you. I love working with all of them. I think there's about 40 of them here tonight. So yeah, we could pass a bill. They're the craziest contingent, by the way, if you didn't hear. But they are a lot of fun. So I want to thank all my colleagues from St. Charles for making my life interesting every single day as your House Speaker. And I'm going to try to keep this brief. I thought I'd try to bring it all home, so to speak. We heard a lot of great speakers tonight, a lot of great speeches. And I was trying to think, okay, what does it all boil down to? What do we all need to do? What do we all need to strive for? What are we hoping for? Real hope, for real change in our country. And I think it comes down to two things that get thrown around a lot, but I think people think about now almost every day. And that's a restoration. A restoration, because a lot of people I think are having buyer's remorse right now after the last 6 years. A restoration of freedom and liberty. A full restoration. Why? Why? I probably don't need to tell you why. These are challenging times. We continue to be challenged every single day. And why is that? It's because in Washington, D.C., we have an executive and a Senate that has forgotten about freedom and liberty and how important that was to the foundation of this country. It's why this country started. People came here for those two things. The freedom part was largely economic freedom, pursuing the fruits of your own labors, because in the old country you couldn't do that. You owed everything to the feudal lord, eventually the king or the queen. You couldn't keep what you produced. And liberty. People wanted to practice their faith freely, of their own accord, how they wanted to do it. So freedom and liberty. And we experienced that, and we practiced that, and we preached it, and we did it for so many years, so many decades, so many centuries. And it was largely through the Republican Party that you saw it exemplified the most. The first Republican president freed an entire race of people. Republicans led the charge to give everyone equal voting rights. The Republicans led the charge to pass the Civil Rights Act over Democrat filibuster after filibuster after filibuster. We got to remember, we're that party. We're that party of freedom and liberty. They're not doing it in Washington, D.C. on the executive level or the Senate. And here in the state of Missouri, on the executive level, with the exception of my good friend Tom Schweik, this is the Tim and Tom Roadshow. We've been to about 18 Lincoln Days together, all over the state, here, there, and everywhere. And he's doing an excellent job ferreting out waste, fraud, and abuse, and he's the only statewide elected official on the ballot this year. So don't forget that. You need to restore him to office and make sure we protect those veto-proof majorities in the House and the Senate. You gave me, and this is such an honor and so humbling, the first time ever in state history, a GOP supermajority in the House. And I thank you for that. It's your hard work. But here in Missouri, we're just holding the line with those supermajorities, because it's confined to the legislature. We're there 4.5 months out of the year, and when we're gone, boy, do the mice play in the dark, dim hallways of the bureaucracies, in the agencies, in the Department of Revenue, where they were scanning all your information and sending it out of state last year, and all the other departments, in DESE, where they're trying to ram Common Core down our throats. We're doing everything we can to hold the line, push back. But when you have an executive that seems to care not for freedom, doesn't want to restore liberty, what do they do instead? Bring in $1 billion of Obamacare bucks and expand a broken Medicaid system. We're not going to do it. Good. Yeah. We're not going to do it. Yeah. Keep regulation after regulation upon small business owners, the backbone of this state, the backbone of this country. Unfairly stereotype and profile 167 law-abiding Missourians simply because they have a concealed carry permit. We didn't stand for that last year either, but all these things we're holding the line, we're pushing back, we're doing what we can. We don't have an executive that stands for freedom. Freedom from what? Freedom from taxation. Freedom from regulation. Freedom from forcing your business into oblivion because the burden is just so heavy. An attorney general that does not want to defend our state on religious freedom, that looks the other way. An attorney general that does not want to push back against the feds, that welcomes that Medicaid expansion, and that welcomes the Obamacare regulation, the taxation, the cancellation of policies. Silence from that executive. A Secretary of State that cares not for the integrity of the voting system, does not understand the importance of one man, one woman, one vote, attacks business, and does not stand for the people. So this year, as Tom said, is important because you have to hold the line. But in the coming years, if we're going to turn this state around, like so many other great leaders in other states around us are doing, by lowering taxes and giving workers freedom and choice to do what they want to do with their wages and with their paychecks and with their feet where they can work, if we want to have an education system that's free from heavy mandates of Common Core and thoughts from bureaucracies far and wide and not local school districts, you're going to have to restore that executive level leadership at the top. Those leaders are amongst you. You've got great ones in your House and your Senate, on your county levels. We've taken over all the grassroots. As I've traveled the state, it's amazing. You go to some of these counties where it used to be old Democratic rule from top to bottom, courthouses, commissions, everything else. It's completely flipped. We have flipped the grassroots. We have the foundation. But we're not going to have a full restoration of freedom and liberty until you make a change at the top and you have people leading that agenda and leading that charge. Because that is the important key. And in conclusion, everybody likes when an attorney says that. You know, a lot of our we have Lincoln Days and Lincoln-Reagan Days, Reagan Days, all across our state. So I've got quotes from both, but I think I'll wrap up with this tonight because it really says what we need to do, and that's to make sure the people are in charge and not the government. Because Reagan said, we have once again reminded people that man is not free unless government is limited. There's a clear cause and effect here, as predictable as the law of physics. As government expands, liberty contracts. It's time to expand freedom and liberty back in our state. It's time to keep the good men and women in place that need to be in place, but it's time to make changes at the top so Missouri can have explosive growth, move us towards prosperity and opportunity. Thanks for having me again. May God bless St. Charles County. May God bless the great